Hey everyone, welcome to the Commissioners Clubhouse and the LCC Network for Little Critter Bowl weekend, the one and the only week where we'll only have one team remaining at the end of the year. Jameson, what's going on?
Hey, yeah, I'm excited. This is LCC Championship Week, Week 16. I wish we were in it though, but
Yep,
we both couldn't
yep.
be in it. Only one of us could be in it at this point. But yeah, so before I jump into anything, Pat, I had a question. I was thinking about this at work today. What what were some of your worst trade or free agent blunders over your fantasy football career? This could be anything. This could be trades that you didn't make, trades that you didn't make when they were offered to you, um, players that you dropped, before they became big, like anything like that. Like what comes to mind?
Well, thanks to CBS and ESPN.com, I can't go back and look at 2010 to 2013, so I can't really take those into consideration. But I can tell you from 2014 to 26 to 2018, I've made some bad moves here and there after I went back and looked at this, dude. This year alone, this is definitely the biggest blunder in my opinion for me. I dropped Kenny Galladay and picked up Quincy Enunwa, who ended up just being nothing by the end of the year. While Kenny has obviously been a stud at receiver this year, considering he's so young. That was definitely probably my worst move of the year
Yeah,
for
the Kenny
sure.
yeah, it is. Kenny Galladay is he's the number one. He's the number one on the Lions now. For sure.
Yeah.
So that definitely was a wrong move. My biggest blunder two years ago, I uh, I had Carlos Hyde, and your brother Cameron had Todd Gurley, and that was Todd Gurley's second season. He just looked like garbage, and Carlos Hyde was like a top 5 running back that year. I mean, I was like 6-0, and Cameron texted me and he was like, "Hey, do you want to trade Todd Gurley for Carlos Hyde?" And this was right before we started keepers. So if I would have traded for him, I would have been able to keep him. And I told Cameron, "No, I don't want your sorry ass running back." And now, now I sit here, two years later, with no running backs ever in my entire fantasy career, to speak of, and I could have had Todd Gurley. He was offered to me for Carlos Hyde, and I said no. And I thought I won that deal. I was like, "Yeah, suck it. You ain't taking
I've
my
never.
running back." Yeah, so I still think about that to this day.
So
It
you're saying we're wrong time to time?
We are, yeah, we are wrong as well. We're not machines as much as we, like to think we are. We definitely get things wrong. Um, but yeah, I just thought of that. Wanted to ask about that. Before we kick things off. But so today we've got, we want to make some announcements before we jump into the show too. So uh, this is our last episode of the physical year and of the regular fantasy season, obviously. So next week, Patrick and I are going to be traveling. It's Christmas. We logistically just can't make it work to get a show up, to create content, get all the technical stuff finished and edited and all that stuff. So we're going to skip a week, but we'll be back in New Year's, like the very beginning of January, the late December, that next week with a show. So stick with us. We just won't be on next week for the holiday. We want to let you guys know too that we're working on some technical improvements. So we're going to be adding a lot of sound drops through the off season, and we've actually got voice messaging, right, Pat? We've kind of got that worked out. Where we've got some voice messages from some other league members on the show today, which I think is pretty cool. I didn't know we could do that. So
Yeah.
that worked out. It's really cool. Um, and a couple other things, we move into the off season. We're going to be doing this, one show a week through the entire off season, starting, like I said, late December, early January. We're going to be covering all sorts of things during that time, right, Pat? Like rule changes, player reviews, who busted, who boomed, rookie previews, keeper discussion, owner analysis, division analysis, roster
Yeah.
makeup by position, schedule previews, Hall of Fame update, everything. Like everything we could possibly cover, we're going to go through this off season. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And then finally, projecting IDP players. We're actually working through. We haven't started it yet because the season's not over, but we're going to be working through some IDP research through the off season to try to get a way to predict IDP players, so we can kind of bring you guys that later in the off season too. So we're working on a lot of stuff to make things, to kind of keep making improvements and want you guys to be able to, hang around with us and watch it grow. So, anything else, Pat, before we jump in?
Yeah, no, like you said, January is actually for the show is going to be a busy month for us because, like I said, what I'd like to do, my goal is to have as many of you on the show as possible, those that have rule changes that you would like to broadcast on here, kind of get your thoughts on here, and that way it's just another avenue of people kind of hearing you out, since a lot of us are spread out over over 2,000 miles in my case. So there's really no good way of doing it without just writing it down. But no, like I said, January is all about rule changes and proposals from a league standpoint, from a podcast. We're not obviously just going to be talking about rule changes. There's going to be a lot of other cool stuff we plan on going over. So definitely stick around. There's going to be a lot of interesting things we're going to do this off season. But I'm definitely pumped. I'm actually more excited. This may sound weird for 2019 for the off season than I was for the playoffs this year. It may sound crazy, but it's just we have a lot going on. I've heard a lot of interesting rule proposals already, kind of offline, if you will.
Yes,
So I'm interested to see.
I've already heard like 15 proposals, which is crazy because I've
Yeah.
only talked to like 3 people. So I don't know like how many we're gonna get, but it's gonna be a lot. No, I'm really excited about the off season. Like we're not stuck on the same schedule like we are during the regular season, where we have to get things out in certain days and stuff like that. So it's going to be a little more flexible, I think, with scheduling and stuff like that, and a little more free with content because we're not going to have to hit on certain things every week. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really interested in it. But Pat, with that, I don't want to take up too much time. We've got rapid fire to open the show today. It's not. I wish I had like a gun. Like, maybe I'll get a sound for like a drop for the gun, like firing or something. But this isn't going to be like rapid fire because I've seen some of your questions, Pat, and I do want to I'm going to jump into them. I'm not going to be able to just answer it and pass it by. But that's just the best answer for this segment. I like the segment a lot. I think other people do too. But Pat, you wrote most of these, so do you want to ask me or?
Yeah. I'll ask you. I'll let you kind of. I'll jump into if I feel like I need to say something. But we'll start off.
I'll ask you the first two because I wrote these, and then
Okay.
I can pick up after that. All right. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised are you with this LCC final matchup?
I'd say I'm about at a. Are you saying like 1 not surprised at all, 10 being completely thrown off?
1 is like you expected these two teams. 10 is like you would have bet $1 million it never would have happened. Like you are shocked, like eyes bulging out of your head, tongue on the floor.
Oh yeah,
that's 10.
I would say I'm at a 7.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I'm not because here's why I'm not surprised at all. Cody's in it, and although I've picked against Billy throughout most of the postseason, I had him getting to the in my offseason projections. I had Billy going to the playoffs, and on top of that, I had him even winning the wild card game against me. So I'm not totally surprised. And when we do those offseason projections, if we don't pretend like we know he's going to win in the playoffs, because we don't, we know it's a whole different season and anything's possible. So I would say, yeah, I'm kind of at like a 7.
7's still pretty surprised. 7's like, well, what? Like,
Well,
7's
what?
still pretty surprised. Whoa, like, well, what? Like, you're still pretty surprised. So here's another question. Would you rather only play in bowl games but win all of them, or go to the championship every season but always lose in really embarrassing fashion?
I would much rather go to the championship and lose embarrassing fashion because, listen, dude, if you're only known for going for bowl games, then you're only known for sucking.
Exactly. No, exactly. And that's my answer the same thing. The reason I put this in here is because Cameron texted the group last night or something, and he was like, "Hey, guess who is the only team to have two bowl wins?" And I don't know who it is, but my thought was like, we've only done this for 2 years, so if you have 2 wins, you haven't made the playoffs in 2 years. Like that's like I'm just kind of like, congratulations, I guess. I don't okay. So I was like, all right, that's cool for whoever that is, I guess. But Yeah, I just thought that was funny, and it kind of cracked me up when I woke up this morning. It was I didn't see it last night, but all right, so you can ask these questions. I didn't write any of these beyond this.
Okay, yeah. So which team do you believe between Billy and Billy and Cody, do you think has a better chance of winning their division next season?
Probably Cody. And the reason for
Cody.
that is, yeah, the reason for that is he's proven absolutely dominant 2 seasons in a row. That conference isn't nearly as competitive as our conference is, and Cameron's division is always a toss. We had it on a couple of shows a couple weeks back. Wait, what non-playoff team could win their division? I picked Peyton. I picked Peyton. Yeah, that sounded weird when I said it. I picked Peyton. Um, so I mean, I don't know. I mean, Billy's division's a toss up, every single year. So I definitely like Peyton, or I definitely like Cody more.
Yeah. I would actually. Ah, man, I don't know. It's hard for me to pick against Cody. I would pick Cody too, although my follies, I feel like it's just as good, to be honest.
Yeah, he is good.
All right, moving forward. Will this episode receive more views than last year's Little Critter Bowl episode, which, by the way, was 33 views?
What, 33? There's only 24 guys in the entire league. Where did the other 9 views come from? Like someone's grandparents watching or something? Like did
well,
like
I
2
will.
people watch it 12 times? Because how is that even possible? No, it's not going to
No,
break 33 views, unfortunately. That would be amazing, but you and I would have to watch it 20 times a piece to break.
exactly.
It's not going to happen. Next question.
And I will say this though: the only reason I got 33 views, to be honest, was because the video was left up on the website from literally December 2017 until like probably August 2018. So by default, someone's gonna accidentally click on the video, like, "Oh, what's this bullshit?" and then go to the next
Oh.
video.
See, I didn't know that. I probably clicked on that video 8 times by myself on accident. I didn't know that. That's kind of skewed. All right, what's the
Yeah.
next question?
All right. So next question: will we see tight ends become relevant again next year, not only in this league, but in all of fantasy leagues in general?
No, and nobody cares. Tight ends are horrible. I've played with tight ends in my other 2 leagues this year, and they're all trash. I don't like them, except for Kelsey and Ertz. Like I hate even discussing tight ends. They're horrible.
All right. So the next one here. Well, I will say this about tight ends. So in general, their point scoring for this year is much lower than it's been in previous years. I mean, you go to any fantasy league and they'll tell you, man, tight ends, they're just not scoring what they used to. I mean, you had a solid 4 or 5 tight ends that were scoring as much as like tier 3, even sometimes tier 2 receivers. But that's just not the case anymore. It's like tight ends have really become relevant. I mean, I don't know what's going on, especially because it's a passing league. I mean, that shouldn't be the case, but that's kind of what's been going on.
Yeah, they suck.
They suck. No, all right. So next question: is Billy secretly one of the biggest trash talkers in the Elite 12?
Well, what do you mean by secretly? What does that mean?
So I say this. Yeah, let me explain myself in this one. So Billy has, and if you're in the top shot, you wouldn't know this, but every time Billy plays someone, he's quiet as a mouse, and he talks about how he's going to lose or how he's lucky to win. And then after he beats you in the playoffs, he somehow goes and photoshops a picture of himself or of your team losing to him. And I will make sure I post this in the podcast because I have him on my phone, the 2 pictures he shared. But that's kind of what I mean by he's secretly one of the biggest trash talkers. He doesn't actively try to show it, but once he wins, he throws his little jab at you with some people not even noticing.
Oh no, I don't think he's a trash talk. I think a lot of people. So Billy does what I call the humble conceit. The humble conceit. So what he does, he concedes before the games even start. So he says, "Hey, you have a really good team. I may or may not beat you. I'm kind of nervous." That way, if he loses, he's right, and if he wins, yeah, he won. So who cares, right? So people do this so they don't look bad. They don't want to talk trash and then get beat because then they feel like embarrassed and they feel like people are going to make fun of them. So they don't say anything. But I mean, I don't really. I mean, it, you know, it. I mean, it is what it is. I don't think he's that much of a trash talker. I think when he gets around other trash talkers, maybe he gets riled up. But I mean, I think that's just like a regular thing. I don't think that's
Yeah.
a Billy.
Yeah. I'll be sure to share those photos of them. They are pretty funny. There's one
I saw the
of
one
him
with the dog
that
mask,
apparently
the underdog mask.
yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll be sure to put those in the podcast. So moving forward, all right. So Billy Trash Talker next. Is the league more competitive now compared to 2015 to 2014 when it was a 16 team league with one player pool?
No, it's not. And the reason for that is, well, it's less teams. So the player pool obviously is deeper, which makes it, it's less teams per conference, so that the player pool is deeper. But it's also more people, which means there's going to be more people who are not as engaged as there was in 2015 when there was only 16 of us in one player pool. Super competitive, everyone was involved. You didn't have a lot of depth at all, so it was super competitive. It's not now, but it's not. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's just the function of what it is. It's a two-team or a two-conference league, 12 teams, separate player pools. Um, it's just different. It's not bad, but no, I don't think it's as competitive as it used to be. You've got 24 guys, 19 of them are probably paying attention. 10 of that 19 are probably actively doing research, and then 6 of that 10 are like actively, going above and beyond trying to make everything perfect for their teams. It is what it is.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I would say it's definitely. I would say it's more competitive now than it used to be. But I do think people forget about how difficult it was in 2014 to 2015. That 1 year span.
Whatever year we had 16 teams was awful. I don't ever want to go back to that time period. It was so bad.
It was it was there wasn't as much depth in the free agency, so you had to get creative. And if you had a tier 1 player in your team, it definitely meant a lot more than it does now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it did.
So
So what's next?
yeah. So next question: who would have more success in opposing conferences? Cody coming to the Elite 12 or Billy going to the Top Shotters?
Billy going there because, like I said, that
Ooh.
conference is not as competitive. So I think Billy would be able to stand out in that conference. I mean, even to a greater degree than he did with us. And I think Cody would struggle a little more in our conference because, there are some super competitive like guys who pay attention, like in our me, you, Isaac, Cam. I mean, it's really competitive that right. And that's not saying Cody's bad at all. I mean, we've had him on the show before. We couldn't publish it because of technical reasons, but I mean, he's really like research. He really dives into all of the stuff. He's a great player, but I think that the level of competition, at least among our best, is kind of it may be a little more elevated than it is, in the other conference where maybe there's a few more guys who aren't paying as much attention. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
Not to insult anyone because they're both great players. They're both great owners. So answer that one delicately.
I think, yeah, I definitely think Billy would have more success over there than Cody would. And I'm not even trying to trash talk right now. Like, I'm definitely not. I just feel that if you look, I said it, I was talking to actually Jordan and Cody yesterday. But, dude, it's the top tier teams in our conference versus the bottom tier teams in our conference. The bottom tier teams beat the top tier teams. It's happened this year in our conference. Like, and any given week.
Yeah.
I mean, Cameron finished 5-7, came in second to last place in our conference, and he could have easily been a playoff team. So I think I think Cody would struggle a little bit more in our conference. I mean, I'm not saying he wouldn't be a conference champion or anything like that, or make the playoffs, but I think it would be harder for him than it would for Billy going over there. But
I agree.
Cool. All right, next question. Is 2018 Cody better than 2017 Cody?
I don't have all the metrics. I think so. I mean, last year Cody kind of went under the radar behind Colby. Colby was like the guy to beat in that conference last year for the longest time. I mean, by every sort of metric, I mean points for, power ranking, like everything. Cody just dominated this year until those last couple of games. But yeah, I think he's better. I mean, and he's more researched. He's more polished. He knows more than he did last year. He's more familiar with the IDP system. I think he's better.
Would you say his team is better this year than last year?
I don't remember all of his players, but if you look at his roster, I don't know how it couldn't be. I mean, his roster is completely stacked. I mean, so much talent on that roster. It's got to be better than it was last year. It's got to be.
Well, so you say that I'm slowly but surely pulling up the
Shirley?
sure. You don't know Shirley?
I don't know
Dude, come on,
Shirley.
everyone knows Shirley. No, sorry, that's a really lame joke. But
That's an
no,
old
I'll just run through his best players at each position so you get an idea. Matthew Stafford last year, almost 600 points. He got Le'Veon Bell with 275, along with Todd Gurley, both in the same roster and playing. DeAndre Hopkins, a receiver, along with Cooper Kupp. Defensive end, he had Mario Addison. Linebacker, Deion Jones, Blake Martinez, and Bernardo McKinney. DB, he had Sean Davis, the Honey Badger, and Daniel Sorensen. I can never say his last name right. Or Sorensen. Anyways, dude, his team was stacked last year. I would say, I'm going to go on a limb here. I would say 2017 Cody, without actually just sitting here and comparing the two, I would say 2017 Cody was a little bit better than 2018 Cody. I felt like he didn't have anyone really challenging him over there in the postseason like Mafali kind of did. But dude, Le'Veon Bell playing and Todd Gurley playing on the same team, that right there is a deadly combo. But that's just me.
Oh yeah, I forgot he had Le'Veon last year. That was deadly last year.
So next question: has Billy reached his peak, or will he even be better in years to come?
I mean that's tough to answer. I mean he's only been in the league for like 2 years, so it's hard to say that he's peaked in 2 years.
Well, this was his third year.
I mean 3 years, yeah. I mean, but I mean I also see the other side was like how much better can you do than like getting to the conference or getting to the LCC championship. I mean I don't think he's peaked. I mean in the sense that he's gonna keep learning more and continue to like do better. But just because he hasn't peaked doesn't mean he's going to get to the LC championship every single year. You know what I mean? So I mean, if that's the best way I can answer it. I think he's going to continue to growing and learning, but I would be shocked if he got to this point multiple times in the next few years, like over and over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. If that answers.
Now I will say, Billy's done a great job improving every year, but if I'm interested to see after this year, after getting to this point, whether or not he wins or loses the Little Critter Bowl, where he goes from here, because he's never been in a position in this league where he's the best team in one conference and he's got to defend his title. And now he's trying to even improve upon this year. How does he get too cute in the offseason and mess up entirely and that makes costly mistakes, or is he really methodical about it and keeps to his philosophy? But we'll kind of see with that.
I guess
so. Next question.
Hashtag beats by Billy. That's another hashtag. I'm gonna get text messages. They're like, hey. So yeah, so we'll speed up a little bit so we're not.
All right. Next one: cut one, trade one, keep one. Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell, Christian McCaffrey.
Easy. Keep Gurley. He's a stud. Trade McCaffrey. His value is really high right now. And cut Le'Veon. And if you have Le'Veon, don't cut him. This is not to say go cut Le'Veon. If I had to, I would cut Le'Veon because you don't know where he's going to end up. He's not going to be used the same as he was in Pittsburgh. He hasn't played football in a year. You don't know what his conditioning is going to look like. I mean, of all three of those guys, he's the one that I'm most unsure about. And you can say what you want. But running backs, to me, more than any other position, are like whatever the framework of their offense is how good they are. Like Le'Veon is not going to be Le'Veon at the New York Jets. He just won't. He's not going to be Le'Veon if he ends up in Cincinnati or you know what I mean. So that's the one I would cut out of those three.
Okay. Are bowl games the best way of increasing competition in the postseason?
For right now, until we get a better idea. I mean, I'm open to ideas. I want people to say, "Hey, I think this would work more." But I mean, for right now, it's the best way to keep people active that aren't in the postseason.
Okay. Let me ask you this on top of that. Do you think the top shot is, do you think it would be worth their while joining in and doing the same thing to kind of, again, bolster the competition in the postseason?
I would say yes, but I mean, I don't know if they're guys who aren't making the playoffs are actually that involved to even care about the bowl game.
True.
Or maybe it would go the opposite. Maybe they're like, "Oh, hey, we can play for something," and then they would all be really active. I don't know. I mean, I think it's always worth a shot, you know. See if you can keep people active, keep the waiver wire moving.
All right. Next question. If you had to share your house with an NFL player, who would it be? Jalen Ramsey, Josh Norman, or Richard Sherman?
I love this one. I've been waiting for this one. I saw it on the show, doc. I was so excited. It would not be Jalen Ramsey because Jalen Ramsey would be so he would just everything you do he would not like. He'd be like, that food's overcooked. Your food's overrated. Your couch isn't Hall of Fame worthy. Like everything he said about quarterbacks in the offseason, he would say about my house all the time. Like your bathroom's not up to my standards and all this stuff. And I wouldn't like it. I couldn't stand more than 12 minutes with Jalen Ramsey. Richard Sherman's like really passive aggressive. So I couldn't live with him either because he wouldn't like my cooking, but then he wouldn't say it to me. He would like post on Facebook while he sits next to me on the couch watching TV. He'd be like, "Oh, this guy's food sucks," and I'd be like, "Richard, that's about me," and he'd be like, "No, man, that's not about you." And then he wouldn't
That's
talk
not
back
about you.
because he's really passive aggressive. So it would just be Josh Norman by default. Although I couldn't imagine sharing any space with either one of those guys for a long period of time.
Yeah, no, that would be that would definitely be rough for sure. All right, last question, and then we're gonna move on. What was the defining moment for Billy and Cody this season?
Billy's was. You know what? I'm going to say both of them happened in the postseason. Billy's was going back to back over 300 points, over 340 points, I think. I didn't look at his final score. Twice, or 320 points. Sorry, back to back weeks in the postseason to get him to the final. I think that was his moment. And then Cody's was beating Hunter in the conference final, just walloping him and going 340 points in the final. Like that's the Cody we needed to see going into the LCC final, in order to have a lot of faith in him because we hadn't seen that for a couple weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that was both of their moments where it's like, hey, we've arrived where we're gonna duke it out, in this game. So. But yeah, we spent a lot. That turned into a Q&A more than a rapid fire.
yeah, it definitely did.
So, but I had fun. This is the last episode of the year. We can talk about it a little bit more. So
Yeah, this is a little dude. This is literally Little Critter Bowl weekend. I mean,
it
come
is
on,
the best
you
and
got
the
to
worst
celebrate.
weekend of the month or of the year,
Yeah.
not the month of the year. All right, so conference final reviews. Just really quick review of the games. And we've actually got some voice messages here from Isaac, or at least one message from Isaac and one from Hunter, about their losses. So Billy won 326, 266. Adam Thielen continues to let Billy down. He's only scored over 20 points once in the last 6 weeks or 8 weeks or something like that. Adam Thielen does not look good. But Billy's defense stepped up 50, 49, 41, and 47 points from his defensive players. So that was awesome for him. And this was Billy's first win against Isaac, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So that was cool for him. And like I mentioned, so we got 2 conference finalists eliminated this week. We wanted to ask them their thoughts, because we always talk about hey, here's how they're feeling. Probably we don't know. We're not them. So we asked for their thoughts, and they sent us a voice message that we can play here. Um, so you can hear it straight from Isaac and then from Hunter. But I'll go ahead and play this so you can hear what Isaac thought about his loss to Billy.
What's up? Yeah, I mean, overall, I was real disappointed. I mean, 266 for me was really low, considering, I had a lot of games over 300. I mean, but the loss of Kareem Hunt, Landon Collins kind of was my downfall in the long run. I couldn't find people to put up their production, and it just cost me my chance. I mean, kudos to Billy. He has a good team. As far as I felt like, we have about the same amount of talent. So I felt like either one of us could go on the way. But the way that the Cowboys were playing until this week, I thought that he has a chance to even beat Cody if the Cowboys played like they did against the Eagles. But if they keep playing like they did last week, he's going to get destroyed this weekend. Um, but I thought that I had every chance to beat him. I mean, I've practically owned Billy since we started playing. Sorry, Billy. It's true. I mean, you can't deny facts. But um, so I don't know if I was a little bit necessarily cocky, but I just had a really strong confidence that I could do it. But overall, was really let down by my offense, especially Philip Lindsay putting up 13 points against Cleveland despite the great matchup. Zach Ertz, I knew the Wentz benching was going to hurt me there, but I mean, damn, 6 points in a shootout that I thought was going to happen in that Rams game. Didn't happen. Aaron Donald didn't do nothing, 6 points. And as these guys talked about previously, he could put up 50 points in any given game, and I was hoping that he would do it for me this time. We got Avery Williamson, only put up 10 points. He's averages 30 points a game this year, and like I said earlier, losing Collins, I've been trying to find that guy, and then Devin McCourty put up 17, which was really, really just devastating.
Yeah, so there we kind of heard, what we had talked about at the very beginning of the season. I think we even did it in the analysis, was that Isaac didn't have the depth that we thought he needed going into the season, which we talked about that really early. And I mean, he acknowledges there that it kind of bit him, in that game with Billy.
Dude, what I love most about this sound clip is the letter. I can feel the pain in Isaac's voice as he's
Yeah.
as he's talking through. You can just imagine like how upset he is. Like,
Well,
I mean, I was upset too. I lost in the wild card game in a game that I mean I projected myself to lose, but I still felt like I could have won. Um, no, dude,
in all
it's
fairness,
just I mean that literally sums up what it feels like to lose in the playoffs.
yeah, that's why we wanted these messages, because they can discuss it better than we can. In all fairness, we weren't very sensitive. Like the day that these guys are losing, like in the middle of it, we're like, hey, you want to send us a clip about how you feel right now? Like, hey, you're getting beat by 70. We know it's only 6 o'clock, but you want to let us know why you lost? So we put the show tomorrow. So we weren't very sensitive to that. We've also got one from Hunter. We'll play here in a second, but Cody won 340 to 276. Cody had 6 players with 34 or more fantasy points, which is awesome. He's won the top shoters conference in back-to-back seasons. And here's a clip from Hunter about what it feels like to be on the other end of that.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I think the main factor in Cody winning this week was his team just had a complete day. They had 340 points. I think he would have beat just about anybody in the league with 340 points. So that's definitely a big one, and it doesn't help when your running back goes down with only 4 carries and 1 point, and one of your best receivers, OBJ, is out for the playoffs. But even if they would have been in, I highly doubt I could have put up 340 plus to beat them. I definitely think, he probably has the more complete team. I do think I have a very good squad. I probably am lacking a bit in the running back position, where Cody is very deep. But overall, I think our teams are fairly similar as far as talent goes. I've had a few injuries to few key players, but as far as talent goes, I think our teams are fairly even. I do say he has a more complete team than I do, which is, nothing bad. Just need to probably draft a little bit better running back this go around. I definitely thought leading up to the game I had a great chance. I definitely thought I could beat him. I would have beaten him last week as far as points goes, so I definitely think I could have beat him. But like I said, when you put up 340 points, it's hard to beat that. I mean, I had a very good year. I think 11-3, won a playoff game, made it to the conference title game. Only in my second year. First year, I didn't win a playoff game. I didn't make it to the playoffs with the bye, but I got beat by Cody pretty handily. At least this time I put up a fight, I would say. But I thought it was a great season. I had a great time, and I look forward to doing it next year. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Oh, sorry about that. I actually started playing that one twice. You couldn't hear the pain as much in Hunter's voice because of his accent a little bit. I think I wasn't
Dude,
expecting the southern drawl because Hunter to me has only existed as a fantasy football owner. I've never heard his voice. I've never seen him. I've never seen a picture of him.
same here.
Like nothing. Like other than him setting his lineup, he doesn't exist in my world. So I was surprised to get the audio and hear his voice for the first time. But no, he had some good points about depth and roster makeup, and but he had a good season. He went up against a monster in Cody. But it's what we talked about at the very beginning, that Hunter didn't have the metrics on his side. Entering the postseason, he wasn't one of the strongest teams, scoring wise. So I think we kind of saw what happened. But I like the voice messages. Those are cool. It's really cool to hear that from everybody else.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, we've actually got a few more of these here. So, Patrick, you during the same time that people were losing and winning over a conference final weekend, you reached out to former LCC champion contenders, people who have won and lost over the years.
That's right.
And you wanted feedback and advice from them about how they felt, what they thought, because neither one of us have ever been there, unfortunately. And so we've got a few of these.
If you want to know what it feels like, to lose in the playoffs, I could tell you that. I can't tell you anything about the little gritter ball, my friend.
We can tell you how great it feels to win 10 games, but we can tell you how awful it feels to never, ever get any further in the playoffs than we do the year before. But these people have made it, so I just wanted to play a couple of these. These are a little bit shorter, and we can kind of discuss it too. But this is straight from them. They can kind of tell you what they thought. So we'll start with Cody because he won it last year and he's returning it again this year.
Honestly, making it to the Little Critter Bowl last season and winning was a relief because I had sucked as a franchise for most of league existence. That's how I felt, at least. It wasn't any more pressure than normal. I hate to lose no matter what. But I will say, even though I never changed my lineup after I said it for the first time, I did think about it a whole lot more than any other week. I think in order to win it all, your team needs to be consistent and healthy. Limit the bad weeks, no room for streaky players. And best thing about winning it is getting that nameplate put on the trophy. Luckily, I'm in a position this year to repeat and get to experience that moment again, and along with starting a dynasty, hopefully.
So I think Cody, he made a couple of good points there. Set your lineup and forget it. Don't go back to it. Don't change it up. Wanting consistent players, that kind of goes back to playing the odds, like we talked about. You don't want those boomer bust guys unless you're a big underdog. You want those consistent guys. And then what else I liked is that he said the nameplate is something that motivated him. Not the money, the right to put his name on it so everyone can remember that he won. That's pretty cool. But yeah, so we have another one here. Are you gonna say something?
I was gonna say that I'm with you on that. It's Cody. To me, I've never played this league even before we had the trophy for the money. The money was never a motivating factor for me in this league. It was always because I knew the majority of the people in the league, and I just wanted to just beat the crap out of them and rub it in their face. That's what motivated me the most, and that's what motivates me still, man. Getting that trophy getting your name on there, your record on there, man, it's just really cool. And then when you pass it on to someone else, unfortunately, that probably means you didn't win the next year. You can kind of be like, hey, I got that before you did. You know what I mean? So uh, it is pretty cool. It's definitely something cool. And I'm totally with that. If I feel like if you're competing just for the money, I don't feel like you're going to get as much out of the league. If that's the only thing you're playing for, I mean, it's definitely a motivating factor. It's a lot of money to win, but still, I think there's more
Yeah, if
to
you're
it.
competing just for the money, you're not gonna win it because you have to love being involved in this league and playing fantasy football to get to that point. So um, yeah, I agree with you guys though. The nameplate, the recognition, the bragging rights, like that's it for me. I could care less about the money or the things beyond that. But we have another one here. This is from your wife, Pat Maria. She didn't win. She did get there in her first and only year. No, not her only year. She played 2 years, but she did not win it. So I wanted to hear from her. So this is what she had to say.
To be completely transparent with you, I personally did not feel any type of pressure throughout the season. I think the key lies within choosing a good team to start with at the draft. I don't really think there's any type of math behind it. And one of the things I enjoyed the most was rubbing the wins in everyone's faces. Just kidding. Even though I didn't go to or win the Little Critter Ball, it was definitely a great experience.
Yeah, Maria was not kidding, by the way. She really enjoyed rubbing. like you
Oh
could say
yeah.
she was just kidding, but she beat me twice that year. She wasn't just kidding. I know she wasn't just kidding.
Trust me. Trust me. She did not join the league to just win that money. She joined the league to say she could beat the crap out of me after all that time and effort I put into it every year, and then everyone else too. Like to me, for her, it was more of a statement than anything.
It was.
Going in
It
there.
was very much like, hey, you guys put so many hours a week into this, and I'm gonna come in here not knowing anything. I'm gonna beat you, and she did. And I've
Shit, man.
questioned myself ever since then, ever
Yeah.
since that moment. So. but so we've got another one here from Jordan. Jordan's always a lot of fun to talk to. He didn't win it, so he lost as well, but he also offers some pretty sound advice.
The Little Critter Bowl is, of course, the biggest game of the year. It's our Super Bowl, and it's just an honor to even get there, and it takes tons of hard work. And I've got to go myself, and it was by far the most excited I've been for a game, even though unfortunately I haven't been able to pull out a win. So I don't know what it really takes to pull it off myself because I haven't done it, but to get there is an extreme honor, and you work hard all year. When you're setting your lineups, just don't overthink it. And I think I've heard Jameson say this on the podcast before, but dance with the one that brought you. That's all you can do at this point. But good luck to the two remaining teams, and see y'all next year.
Oh yeah. Jordan's, he's right. You gotta. Well, I mean, I'm assuming I've never been there, but you gotta, dance with the ones that brought you. You got that far for a reason, regardless of whether people think you're an underdog or not. You're there, so why change it up too much? I like. Also, I never noticed it before, but in a voice message on the show, Jordan, his voice, he could do like voiceover work for like cartoons. Like I pictured like a cartoon bear
A
in my
cartoon
head as he
bear.
was talking. No, for real. Um, he just has like a voice like that. I don't know. It was cool. Um, maybe it was just like the audio. I don't know,
No,
but it was
I
cool.
felt like Jordan's voice. It reminded me of like a father reading to his kids. Just like reading them a good classic, like I don't know, Genevieve Jones or the
What?
Bearstein Bears. Like
What?
I don't.
What? Just like like narrating movies or something. Um, so we've got another one here. We got two more. So we've got John, your dad. He's won it, if I'm not mistaken, and his message is short and simple. Like he's just over it. Listen to this.
Did I feel more pressure? I can't really say that I felt more pressure playing in the bowl game. I think up to that point, I was on a roll. My team was good. I felt strong. I don't think that I felt more pressure. I just wanted to win it.
Yeah, so your dad's advice
Ooh,
is be a good team and don't worry about it.
yeah,
Like he said, you know what, I felt good, and no, it wasn't any pressure. I'm over it, moving on.
that's kind of
Um,
how Maria was too, though. I mean, I think if you
yeah,
look at both of them, and I wish we had Jade. I wish we had one from Jade and Matt. I'd really be interested to see kind of what their comments are. But uh, no, his message was kind of similar to Maria's. Like, it was like any other game. I just went in there and did my job.
yep,
So
yep,
maybe I don't know. We're definitely seeing different philosophies from different people here, but it's kind of I think bottom line, none of these teams that got this far, it seems like felt any kind of real pressure. Um, they just had expectations for their team to do what they had done the past, X amount of weeks.
yeah, yeah. Well, maybe you and I can learn something so we can actually turn it around in the coming season. In the coming season.
Yeah. But
So we
I
got one more.
secretly asked for the advice because I've just never been and I want to get there.
Just for us, we're gonna archive this episode so we can listen to it over and over and over for years to come. So this last one's from Cameron. He has gotten there as well. I don't think he didn't win it, did he? When he went,
No, so Cameron made it back-to-back years, our first 2 years, and lost both of them. First one to Colby, second to Ryan. And so, yeah, and, and it's really funny, Cameron's response here, because Cameron literally just, read the questions, answered the questions, read the question, answered the question.
yeah, it's a little more
This-
like direct, which is okay. We'll play that for you guys.
yeah.
All right, so Pat wanted me to do this in 30 seconds, 30 to 45 seconds. So, do you feel pressure compared to other games? Yes, of course. It's a championship. No crap. What do you think separates what it takes to win a little curveball and what it takes to just make it there? Well, you got to have a really good team. You got to have depth. And Cody, it seems insane. I don't know anyone that has more depth than him. So, what did you enjoy most about getting a little curveball? Well, I get to brag, and a lot of people haven't made it there, so that's kind of my scapegoat. If they talk crap to me, well, I've made 2 championships. You haven't. So, yeah. There's your advice from the Spurs. Peace.
Yeah, so Cody mentions, or not Cody, Cameron mentions depth, which we've heard a little bit, so I agree with that. And then that's like his trump card, he gets to brag that he's made it there no matter what anyone says. You can't take that away from him. So that's cool. I agree with that.
Yeah, I think, especially for a team like Cameron, who likes to trash talk a lot, it's definitely good that he's at least been there a couple of times to at least back that part up.
Yeah, you always get that ace in your pocket if you get backed into a corner. Someone's like, Cameron, you didn't make the playoffs. He goes, oh, been to the final twice, so suck it. And then it just ends or something. So this is the LCC Championship preview. The whole reason we're doing this show, we didn't want to spend the whole 50 minutes doing it because there's only 2 teams, and we don't want to bore you guys with every single statistical piece of everything that we could find. So we wanted to, do some other things, but it's time we talk about Billy and Cody a little bit. So
Yes.
again, this is the happiest and saddest day of the season because we get to see the final, but it also means that the season's coming to an end after this weekend. So it's a little unfortunate. Jordan, shout out to Jordan for this article that he wrote that will get published on the site. You sent this to me today, Pat, and you said, "Hey, Jordan wrote this for the championship. Do you like it?" And I read it. I was like, I freaking love it. Like, it's awesome. It gives some data, but it's not so dry. Like, it's perfect. Like, maybe we need to get Jordan to do more of these. But I wanted to say a couple of things that he said here. So, same thing. Jordan talks about a lot of depth on Cody's team. Todd Gurley, Darius Leonard, kind of leading the charge. His all-play record was way better than anybody else's. 263, 78, and 4, which is way better than anybody else's. And but he also talks about how Billy has kind of been an underdog. Even though he's an underdog, he has scored 4 of the top 20 single game records this season, in addition to breaking the all-time scoring record that Maria held, and which is now 398. I forgot about that about Billy earlier this season. And he talks about how Derwin James and Zeke and Adam Thielen can kind of put up a lot of points pretty quickly when they're all kind of churning along. So I don't have time to read the entire thing here, but we'll get this up for everyone to see. I think it was a really cool analysis. Jordan, I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And he finishes by saying that the conferences are matched at 6 games apiece for the season, and so whoever wins this game will kind of win. That conference will kind of win, bragging rights for the season, which will be cool if we win it. Just saying,
Yeah.
cool.
Jordan, this is actually kind of a tradition Jordan and I have done as far back as I can remember. I don't know if we started in 2010 or not, our first year, but one of us has always written like a very short article kind of summarizing both teams, how they got there, what it means to be there and stuff. We've done it, I swear it's probably every year, if not maybe all but one or two. And Jordan, I would say, he's definitely done at least half, maybe even one or two more than I have. I know ever since I started the podcast, and the year before that, I was doing like I don't know if you want to call my commercials almost for all the playoff games, but it was kind of cool. I definitely had Jordan kind of take over that role more so than I was doing. But no, he's good at it, man. I think Jordan is he's got a gift when it comes to writing. Throwback to freshman year of college, Purser's class.
I remember Purser. He was tough.
Yeah. No, but no, definitely thanks again, Jordan, for that. Definitely appreciate it. And guys, if you're listening, make sure you go read the article. Definitely good piece. And it's not super long either where you need to take a bunch of time out of your day. It's like literally like a paragraph.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. I mean, I read the whole thing in a minute and a half, maybe. I mean, it's pretty easy read. I liked it a lot, though. We need more of that. We need to get Jordan to, behind the scenes, article writer for the show or something. I think that would be cool. But so players that'll be difference makers for each team. There's not a lot of history, so we can't dive into these teams playing each other. This is literally the first time they've played each other. Cody has, kind of situated himself as a juggernaut in the entire league, really. And Billy's kind of upstart. He's been to the playoffs before. He got eliminated in the first round. This is, he's been an underdog the entire season, the entire playoffs. He's been picked against every single week, basically, except by him and Cameron. So these guys are on opposite ends of kind of, where they are or where they have been, I guess, as owners. So it's interesting to see how they match up. On Billy's side, his difference maker to me is going to be Amari Cooper. Billy rises and falls with Amari Cooper. He's going to have Amari Cooper score a lot, especially with Adam Thielen doing nothing, which we talked about a little bit earlier. And also another kind of core on Billy's side is going to be his safeties. He's got a couple of good safeties. They really showed up last week to beat Isaac, and he's going to need that again because Cody's another monster, all on his own. So he's going to have that. On the other side, I think Todd Gurley's got to show up. And he may not play. He's dealing with some knee inflammation right now. So we'll see what happens. But Gurley's got to show up. Cody's got a lot of depth, but I mean Gurley's a 42-point. I think that's his average. I don't have that in front of me, but he scores a lot of points. So he needs Gurley there. And then his linebacking core: Blake Martinez, Darius Leonard, Deion Jones. If those guys are all on fire this week, I mean, if they're getting 40, 45 points apiece, Cody's going to run away with this. So that's kind of what I think is going to be the difference maker.
To answer your question about his average, he averages 43 points a game. Let me just throw some fun stats at you. Last year, they played against the Eagles, obviously, at home. Dude, Philly has the 11th best rushing defense in the league. Todd Gurley got 44 points against them. All right, they're playing the Cardinals this week, who have the 30th best rushing defense. So you can only imagine what this will mean. I mean, they did hold him to 42 points in week 2. But no, dude, I really think Todd Gurley's going to have another 40-plus game. Hopefully, for Billy's sake, not a 50-plus game. But I think, dude, him not play, if he doesn't play, this is a whole new ball game. This is a whole new scenario. I mean, it literally turns everything upside down on its head because literally Todd Gurley takes up a huge portion of Cody's points for on offense every single week. And not only that, but James Conner's also questionable against the Saints in New Orleans. Dude, it's hairy for sure. He's gonna have to fall back to Sony Michel if that ends up happening.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point about James Conner. He should be back this week, but what capacity he's going to come back in? My concern with Todd Gurley is that even if they start him up, even if he's healthy to start, that they're going to be beating the Cardinals by so much that they might take him out in the third quarter and run John Kelly. That's my only concern. So I mean, if I'm Cody, I'm monitoring that situation throughout the week to kind of see what happens. So just be aware of that. I think that could be the difference maker is Gurley. So with that being said, we'll talk about our predictions here. I did this prediction with the assumption that Gurley's playing, but I did take into account that I don't think he'll score as much, playing with the injury, maybe getting up early. So I have this game very close. Cody winning at 291 to 289. If I get more updates about Gurley, I can adjust that. But I mean, a 2-point spread, I mean, it's basically a toss-up at this point for me.
Yeah, I've got it close too. I don't have it as close as you. If you're correct about that, Jameson, what we're looking at is the closest little critter bowl of all time. The closest one we've ever had was the 6-point spread. That was 2013 when my dad upset Jade in a comeback on Monday night to win the game. I mean, yeah, we're definitely looking at one of the best little critter bowls of all time. If you're correct about that, I've got it at 290 to 280. And I was going under the same assumption. I'm assuming that all of Cody's starters are going to play and are going to play 100%. I had Todd Gurley scoring 40, at least 40 against Arizona in Arizona. But at the same time, man, I do like some of Billy's matchups. Lamar Jackson, you can say he might get shut down against the Chargers because they have a legit team this year. But the bottom line is they're going to have to score points, man, to keep up, I feel like. And Lamar Jackson, he's not just limited to what he does in the air. He can also run the football and pick up a lot of points there. And then Zeke's got Tampa Bay, so he's going to get he's just going to get a lot of everything in that game. I think we're looking at actually a better game than you and I thought was possible a couple weeks ago. I'm actually really excited about it. I think it's going to be a 10-point spread. You seem to think it's going to be even closer than that. And if that's the case, man, we're going to be waiting for a stat change to ruin someone's week or ruin someone's year, in fact.
Yeah, we're going to have to be pretty aware of that, going into late next week. You and I are the only, we have it close, but the app doesn't have it nearly as close. I think right now, I'm pulling this up just to double check, but I looked at it earlier today, and right now it had, it had Cody like 60 points over Billy. Let's see what it has.
God, I think I had 55 earlier this evening when I got on.
57 is what it's showing right now. 302 to 245. It is projecting Cody 302. That is insane. Very, very rarely do I ever see it project that highly. Very rarely. I mean, I think I saw Mufali get it once. Like, it doesn't happen. So for it to be projecting that highly, I mean, it thinks a lot of Cody's team for sure. But this is where Billy's been all off season long. He wants you to pick against him. He wants you to not pay attention to him. So we'll see what happens. The app thinks it's going to be not even be close. We think it's going to be very close. And I think for our sake, maybe Billy or Cody doesn't want this, but for our sake, I hope it's really close because we need a really competitive matchup, which we haven't seen since 2013. Last year Kyle just got beat down, which we saw coming. We all thought
we all knew it was coming, dude. Everyone but Kyle.
We picked on the podcast last year with Kyle on the podcast with us and said, like, I don't know if you remember that or not, but I was like, yeah Kyle, you're gonna lose, like with him there.
And just to give you guys like kind of a base knowledge of what the Little Critter Bowl has been like the past 9 or this is our 9th one. So the previous 8 years. Last year was actually relatively close for Little Critter Bowl's sake. Cody won 310 to 288. In 2016, it was Matt versus Maria. Matt won 207 to 167, so a big point spread there. The year before that, 2015, Cody ended up. Oh no, sorry. Listen to me. Matt ended up beating Colby 171 to 148. 2014, it was Jade beating Jordan 215 to 149. 2013, like I said earlier, really close, 111 to 105. My dad beating Jade in a Monday night game. Year before that, Jade put a beat down on my dad, 138 to 67. Then 2011, you had masturbate and tackle. That was Ryan beating Cameron 161 to 140. And then 2010, the very first ever Little Critter Bowl, you had I'm Thinking RBs. That was Colby back then winning against Cameron, who was Team Nugent back then. Ended up winning 149 to 102. So as you can see, most of the Little Critter Bowls have actually been one-sided. We've only had one that was a really close game and really one to watch, to continuously watch. But like I said, it was a Monday night game that ended up winning it. So I could see something similar happening though in this matchup. I think it's gonna be close, but it's hard for me, dude. I don't think anyone besides maybe Billy and maybe Cameron, maybe not Cameron, picking Billy to upset Cody. Man, that'd be tough. But it would be one remarkable story. I mean, one remarkable underdog, probably the best underdog story in our league's history if Billy's able to win that.
Yeah, Billy's not gonna pick Billy publicly, not until the game's over. But no, I'm excited. I'm gonna be watching this game. In addition to one of my other leagues, I'm in the championship game in my office league, playing my boss, which is pretty cool. So I'll be paying close attention to fantasy this weekend, even though I'm out of this league. So it's gonna be cool. Pat, do you have anything else, man? It's been over an hour, guys. We apologize. This is our last show of the season. We had a lot we wanted to get
last
in.
one, man.
The last
Dude,
one.
This is it.
This is it. We wanted to go through things for you guys. We wanted to be thorough. We wanted to be entertaining. It's the last one. Sorry it's a little bit longer, but when we get back in the off season, we'll have things a little more fine tuned. So, anything else, Pat?
Yeah, no, like you said, taking the week off, the week of Christmas off. I'm actually flying into South Carolina to see everyone. Super excited about that. But yeah, unfortunately, won't have a podcast next week. For those of you that are our loyal listeners out there. But no, looking forward to 2019. It's going to be one heck of a year for the podcast. I know Cody was talking about it last night. Possibly the Top Shot is even having their own podcast next year. So we'll see if that gets started, or if not, that's fine too. Because, dude, James, I feel like we've got a great show here. I think we do a pretty bang up job every week, and people seem to enjoy it. And if you don't, or if you have any kind of critiques or anything you'd like to see us change next year, let us know. Like I said, some of the things that we've done this year have actually been from feedback we've gotten from some of the people listening week after week.
Yeah. No, yeah, we love this show. We have a lot of fun doing it. Like I said, I'm doing it. It's literally 12:40 right now, my time. Like I've got to go to work. I'll be having 6 hours to go to work. So we enjoy doing this. We want to make it really good. We want people to enjoy it. We want people to ask us when it's coming out. We want people to ask us to be on it. And we're starting to see that. It's fun to see that work, pay off. 'Cause we do put a lot of work into it throughout the week. So it's, we definitely want people to give us, critiques and advice and things like that. So, with that,
Yeah.
Pat, we're getting off. We're actually going to the Panthers game on Sunday, so that's another reason we won't
be
able to get done. So we'll be up in Charlotte watching them play the Falcons, and hopefully we can get a
watching
win.
them beat the Falcons down on Little Critter Bowl weekend.
On Little Critter Bowl weekend, hopefully.
It's gonna be a good time. No, but again, best of luck to Cody, who's on a 3-game win streak right now. And Billy, say what you want, man hasn't lost in over a month. So good game. Looking forward to it. Best of luck to both teams. No bias involved, but I'm pulling for Billy.
Conference loyalty.
Sorry, I sneezed.
Above
Jeez.
everything else. Conference loyalty.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm conference loyal, but Billy beat me too, so I'm still kind of salty about that. So I'm just whoever wins, I'll be happy for, and we'll talk about it when we get back from Christmas break. So with that, guys, we are out, and good luck to everybody who's still in it, and take it easy.